holistic relationship with the groups who actually are handling the young men and women in the city of Charleston and the ones in the North City of North Charleston to try to have a good collegial relationship to build up a great organized way of assisting the young men and women as well as making sure that they are following the rules and regulations as the city of North Charleston for the building department and the finance department. So what we did, we put the finance department in. Dana, can you stand? She's in the finance department, and we had the SBE office, Frank and Samantha with Frank. Put them together, and then we have the police department. Can you stand? So it's the chief, captain. And we put those together, and then of course the mayor's office. I miss anybody? Okay, and Kathy Love. So we put those departments together and working to try with the Artesian Group and the City of North Charleston Artesian Group to come up with the best plan to implement this in the City of North Charleston. So these two groups are coming before us to actually tell us why council and the mayor should select one of those two to actually run our program. All right. So right now we have the first we'll have a Palmetto Artesian program. Are y'all here? Okay.
I'm gonna let this young
Please
man.
state your name and address for the record.
My name is Makai Singleton, and I'm from Brook High School.
My name is Eric Jackson from Community Solutions Consulting. I'm gonna let him introduce himself and tell a little testimony about the program, and then I'll explain the program a little bit.
The Palmetto Artisan Program is basically a program that helps teach young adults, especially men, but because we don't have a lot of girls yet, girls, it helps you learn business skills. I've been in the program for about 5 years now. Since I've been in 6th grade, I'm in 9th grade right now. I would just say it helps you get good business skills. I even have a job at the ice cream store. I work at the ice cream store Kilwins downtown now, and it kind of helped me during my interview, just talking to people and with customer service, even managing money. It just helps you get skills that last for life.
Thank you, sir. So my name is Eric Jackson. Once again, I am co-owner. My business partner, Mr. Davis, is still working. I've been running the program for the city of Charleston now for 5 years. I think they sent over a proposal that we submitted that will explain a lot about the program that was executed for the past 5 years. And through the 5 years, there's been a lot of trials and tribulations, a lot of moving parts. We had to do a lot of adjusting, but I am happy to say that we have 100% parent participation, 0 interactions with the police officers because they know all the kids in the program, and we have 0 incidents with any kid being robbed or anything like that, which was a big issue before we started the program. My approach is going to be a twofold approach. We already have the program that's designed for the kids. We have an 8-week program that they have to go through before we actually put them out there to sell the roses. We have to do a lot of information searching on what's going to be the best spot for them to sell the roses, because right now you have a lot of kids that's at the food lines and the gas stations, and right now that's just not safe. So our approach is, as we are working with the kids and getting them prepared, we'll be working with city council, representatives to select somebody to represent a group of individuals that's going to guide this project moving forward. North Charleston is way bigger than the city of Charleston when it comes to this. You have the lower neck that's going to be a little bit more different than what you're going to be doing in the Otranto area. So the city council is going to be very vital in supporting somebody for the advisory committee. That's one thing, because we have to have safe places for the kids to sell. We have to be able to have good interaction with the police department. They'll be a part of the advisory committee. So everybody that Mayor Burgess mentioned beforehand, who was a part of, bringing us together to present will be a part of this advisory committee, because we just can't put kids out there and not have a plan on where they're gonna be, how we're gonna recognize them. As you see, we have uniforms, we have badges with the city of Charleston. We also have after-school programming, because with the city of Charleston, the peer body program, you have to be in good standing with the schools. I know in North Charleston might be a little bit different. We are working with some programs to see if we can find alternative education options, because all kids don't go to school. Some kids are being homeschooled. So how do we recognize that and make sure that they're in a safe environment? Like I said, 5 years doing this with the city of Charleston, great rapport with the past mayor. The current mayor adopted the program, so we just look forward to trying to do the same thing in North Charleston. Thank you.
Thank you. You have any questions?
Yeah, Eric. So for this program, where do you, right now with the city of Charleston, how do you receive your funding?
We received our funding from a RFP. We applied for an RFP. It's for 5 years, and what we do is we do an annual review. And right now it's like we go back and we revisit the budget and see if we need to increase, just because some things cost a little bit more. So we have like a 15% increase each year going forward, and that can change just depending on the market.
So in addition to the Palmetto Roses in terms of entrepreneurship, are you offering any other skill development in that area, like financial planning,
Yes.
marketing?
Right, so I sent that over, so it's an 8-week course, it's marketing.
Yeah, we didn't get it.
So I'll make sure I resend it.
Okay.
Financial planning, marketing, all that stuff like that. So our ultimate goal is to get them into other career choices also. Most of them are not gonna sell roses. We try to make sure they get into college, the course for college. Like he said, he's working on the market right now. We got a great rapport with the market, because in the beginning, they were welcoming. They didn't want more kids coming making money in the area. So it took a lot of community building, a lot of meetings, a lot of relationship building, because bringing young people into the area of business was very new to them. They looked at them as competition. Now they're accepting them to being a part of the market, enhancing what they're doing. Because some of the kids are learning how to make baskets now. We got a kid that made a t-shirt company. So it's a lot of things that can come out of this, other than just selling the roses. That's the tool. That's a tool to help them excel moving forward.
So do you have an issue with the young men and women who are not a part of your program that are still doing it in the city of Charleston? How are you managing that?
Right, so that's where the partnership with the police department comes in at. It has cut down drastically. And you can, I think, somebody talked about that. You can see a direct correlation between the program starting and the decrease in the crime as far as car break-ins and stuff like that. About 4 or 5 kids that was outside of the program actually joined the program. They are phased out now. They are working in the restaurants in the market, which was ultimate goal, is just trying to get them to be a part of the program and a part of the city of Charleston.
I'd like to ask about your partnership with other businesses.
Right. So our partnerships with other businesses are great. Almost every restaurant in the market has somebody working in it that was a part of the program, associated. And the thing about it is, when you come to the workshops, you don't have to come sell roses, become a rose seller. You can looking at jobs. We help with resume building, all that type of stuff like that. So like I said, the Palmetto Artisan is a tool and is a gateway to entrepreneurship, school, and any other pathway that they want to take.
I'm glad to hear that, because for me, making roses is not a career. You know what I mean? That's not what we would want them to aspire to be and to do with life. We want to not just to have a job, but to look forward to a career. So I'm glad to hear that you're building other partnerships, you're teaching other tools, and providing them with resources to excel beyond just roses. Because ultimately, the goal should be to get them off the streets, right? And not have them out there anyway. But doing something else more productive, that will build revenue, because we can't pay a mortgage for roses.
Right. So now, I agree with you to a certain extent. I'm just saying a lot of the vendors that's focusing on the the roses and the sweetgrass basket as a
Oh, yeah,
business.
growing
Right,
it,
are very
growing into that
lucrative,
field, yeah.
but they
We don't-
also have other pathways too,
Yeah, we
because
don't want them, correct, I'm just saying, I don't want it to be about a rose, but something else.
And this is truly an entrepreneur track.
Got it.
But my thing is ultimately, we want these kids to have more than just the rules as an option. We would love to see them go to college. We got about 5 or 6 kids in college right now. We got kids in the military. We got kids that actually created a Palmetto Artisan Company from being a part of the program. We have a kid that just wanted to make T-shirts, so we show him how to create a T-shirt business. We got a kid that created a resale tennis business that's making more money than almost everybody because everybody wants to
Everybody
resell. So
Yeah.
the thing about it, if they, after the completion of the program and they are finishing school and they say, hey, I want to have my own business, we actually help them create
Yeah.
the EIN number and we help them create the business. So certified with the state and everything. So we help them make sure that they lock in on that if that's what they choose to do.
I mean, I know what you do. I mean, I know what you've been doing for many, many years, you know, mostly in the city of Charleston, so I appreciate that, so thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Questions?
Yes.
Yes.
So what is your budget on a yearly basis?
Right now, our budget is $100,000 right now, but it will, for this project, it'll be a little bit more because of the area that we have to cover, we would have to hire more supervisors. And by the way, the supervisors that we hire are also graduates of the program. So once they phase out, because it is from 8 to 17, so when they turn 18, 19, because a lot of them aren't going to college as soon as they graduate, we hire and we bring them on to be supervisors. So when you see the money in the budget for, is it possible for me to pass out, or do you, I can pass it out? I know you do. When you see the supervisor role in the budget, that'll be TJ just, with a manager that's managing the areas. So like I said, it's gonna take a lot more information gathering. So as we gather the information on how we're gonna develop it for North Charleston, it's gonna look totally different for, for North Charleston, it's gonna be totally different because the city of Charleston has markets and all that stuff like that. We're gonna have to partnership with businesses heavy to make sure that, the businesses understand what we're trying to do. All right?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you guys have a location in the city of North Charleston that you're gonna be working out of? Or would you have to be utilizing one of our locations?
So what my plan is, we're gonna try to use all communities, centers that's in each area, that wanna participate. We wanna use churches, anybody that wanna be a part of it. So that's gonna be our goal, is to use the community centers that you already have, use the churches that's willing to partner, and any other businesses that wanna partner also, because they're gonna be vital in moving this, program forward.
Thank you, appreciate it. Now we have the Palmetto State Barbers Association and the Community Resource Center will present.
State your name and address for the record.
Antonio Rivers, 2702 West Surrey Drive, North Charleston, South Carolina, 29405.
Lewis Smith, 3947 Whipperberry Lane, North Charleston, South Carolina. Okay, first of all, we're indeed happy and proud to be here representing the children with the Palmetto Rose Project. In fact, my board of directors, when we heard about this, the last major incident was about a year and a half ago, to be correct. My board of directors said, Lewis, make something happen. So as a result, we decided to partner with the Charleston Palmetto Barbers Association. And if I may read this, the Community Resource Center in Charleston Chapter Palmetto Barbers Association is collaborating to empower young entrepreneurs through a 6-month training program in the heart, may I repeat that, the heart of North Charleston. That's very important to us in this room. Now, what we're going to offer, first of all, we're gonna offer the free uniforms. We have 200 uniforms already ready to go. If you could get they're right there. Each student will get a pair, a shirt with North Charleston Palmetto roses on it, and a pair of long sleeve, long pants, as well as short pants. They'll be allowed, because we have a shopping center, if you will, at our 20,000 square foot complex here in North Charleston. And we serve approximately 1,500 to 2,000 children a month in there, and they shop to get new, brand new clothing. So the young people that's in this program, they will be given an opportunity to get 3 new outfits per month, including undergarments as well as hygiene products. Okay? We're gonna give them, we've already contacted the community because they had an issue with people getting supplies, these young men and women getting supplies. So we are going to give them, we're gonna contact the agencies that we have available and have them, we'll have the product there. By the way, we've already contacted several major venues here in North Charleston, and they have agreed to allow. It's going to be a professional approach totally. Right, oh, if I may digress a little, right now we have approximately 100 community students already enrolled in the program. We're going to be starting May 1. May I repeat that? We're going to be starting here in North Charleston, May 1. What's very important, and Mary Burgess, you know this, a lot of the children do not know how to interact or communicate with authority, or if I may be very blunt and say, the law enforcement. What we are going to do is have a monthly, may I repeat that, a monthly interaction with the students interacting with the various law agencies and youth social services. It's very, very important that they develop this communication with them so we can bridge that gap. We're going to bridge that gap as a community. And of course, we have partnered, in fact, the Community Resource Center has received about 5 different awards from 5 different North Charleston schools. I don't have time to mention them, but we work with them very closely and diligently to make sure that these students are taken care of. They have the vouchers. The vouchers they bring to our clothing closet, and we give them what they need, okay? So as a result, we have contacted several North Charleston teachers who's willing. We have a couple coming from Socorro. That's willing to teach as well as work with the GED programs and keep them academically on schedule throughout the school year. This is not something in the sky. This is something that we already have going. Now, the Community Resource Center works very closely with major companies throughout Charleston, throughout the Low Country. But we have the Palmetto Barbers Association, if I may, we have a barber shop at the center as well. So we will be making sure the hygiene is taken care of all around. We're going to teach them firsthand the U-Haul training. They'll be learning these skills, how to interact with customers. We'll be teaching them that as well. We're gonna offer them U-Haul training. We got 4G United. I know some people's minds will say that these kids are young, but a lot of them are never introduced to a lot of training, physical training. and we are there to make a difference. We're gonna offer them training. We already have 4G United is gonna do the forklift training and show them. It's going to be there, right there in North Charleston. Of course, we have the Mercedes-Benz Youth Training Program. We're going to be introducing them to that world, the mechanical world. Unfortunately, we have taught a lot of our children that everything revolves around a 4-year degree. That's not the real world, especially the world we are living in currently. And we have the port through the Charleston Stevedore Association, and that's a major industry here in North Charleston that's going to be teaching them all things port. So to wrap my conversation up, we already in the process of making this happen. We already have the uniforms for the children and the pants. It's going to take care of all of that aspect, and it's going to be done starting May 1. Now, we have a rather large representation here this evening. That's our testament. We are community, and we are about empowering our community with all the skills, all the means we have necessary. And I want to thank the council for allowing me to talk. I'm gonna yield a couple of my minutes and my wife, Michelle. Okay,
So
right here.
So I would like my 2 cents. I'm Mrs. Smith, by the way. Gotta keep it straight a little bit. Mayor, you know. So the question you asked earlier, what we try to do at the Community Resource Center is to grab these children early and often. Training them up. Palmetto Roses is just one step. As Lewis was talking, once they get out of elementary school and go into middle school, we've been in North Charleston for about 7 years now. The community has entrusted their children to us. We have karate training, different kinds of things at the Community Resource Center. So they've entrusted their children to us these years, and they're continuing to entrust their children to us here in North Charleston. And we're invested in them. Children are our future. We love them. Anyway, so training them early and often, once they finish that and get into high school, one of the things that Mr. Smith did not mention is that we are focused on, once they get a little bit older too, especially the seniors. The seniors are allowed to come in and get the machinery training for Mercedes. They get certified. So we're teaching them entrepreneurship, but along with financing, budgeting, all of the aboves, to be prepared for work later on, because that's not where we want them to stay either, There's bigger and better stuff out there. So Mercedes will certify them. They can choose to go into that field. We've had at least 18 kids hired down at the port through Stevedoring and 4G United. So these children get the opportunity to be with us growing up, and then when they get older, they move on out into the world, into a career, not just a job. So North Charleston is our heart. We're located on Whipper Barony Lane, and this is what we plan to do continuously, because this is what we do. We love y'all.
All right, I'm Antonio Rivers. I'm the Vice President of the Palmetto State Barbers Association at the state level. I'm an advisor at the local level. And, we've been getting out in the community. We've been partnering with the Community Resource Center like 2 years now.
2 years, yes, sir.
And, it's been a pleasure working with this group right here, because their heart is every day. I didn't know it was this deep, right? But I've always had a heart for the community. Shout out to the chief and all of them. I walk with them with the recap. I walk with them in the community now, and interact with the community. The Palmetto State Barbers Association partnered with Shakora Elementary School, and we go through and we're working with the 5th graders right now, because they say that there are no men in the school They got a few men in there, but they wanted to get men of color in the school. So when I was asked by one of the teachers, I said, no problem. This is what we're here for. So we partnered with them. And matter of fact, we're literally about to take the gaming trailer to the school. We're gonna do the gaming trailer, and we put out some incentives that they must have good grades. They must have no complaints as far as their attitudes and things like that. And they gotta wear their uniform, and they'll be able to get on the gaming trailer. And this is ways to open them up as well, just to kind of let y'all know what's already being done. Now, we partnered with them once someone came to Lewis, I think it was his board, came to him about the young men as far as the Palmetto Roses. And he called me up and he said, Antonio, we got to do something about that. And I said, let's do it. And we got together and we've been holding meetings over at the Community Resource Center. We've been having a great turnout. It's been fun. You know, the things that we're teaching now, because we're already doing this. The things that we're teaching now, I got it right here, because I want to call the names of those that are involved. Okay, so the teacher at Shakora, her name is Avis Fields. She was the one that actually connected us to Shakora. She actually has a tutoring program. So she's gonna be helping with tutoring for this program. A young lady named Anita Rose, she's a business and deposit treasury manager at Rev Bank. And you know, she's like a she's like a hurricane out here trying to help the minority community. So she's gonna be helping when it comes down to financial literacy and banking and all of that stuff, right? We got the dean at Top of the Line Barber School. Her name is Jessica Ford. With Top of the Line, with the barber school, we're gonna bring them in and we're gonna take the young people through like a 6 weeks program just to introduce them to barbering and see if that's something they wanna press forward with, right? And we're gonna give them a certificate and all of that, right? So that's gonna be fun. We got my brother DeAndre Mohammed. He's gonna be coming in and helping with conflict and resolution. You know, teaching ways to interact with adults and the police force. You know, and giving them some ideas on that as well. And let me finish up here. And I have another gentleman named Javon Mack. He's going to be helping with showing the kids how to do ceramic tile, teaching them how to work a grill as far as cooking their foods, and also changing a tire. So just little things like that, right? So, you know, a lot of this stuff is fun and we're excited to be doing it. So that's my take. I think we pretty much said everything we need to say.
Any questions?
I have a question. Are you, okay, so I truly believe in artistry and also preservation of the Gullah Geechee culture, which is the Palmetto Rose, because we know the history of the Gullah Geechee culture. Also, you know, do grass baskets, roses. What are y'all going to do in regards to cultivating that skill or that talent? Because it is going to eventually may become a lost skill. So are y'all going to also teach them how to enhance that skill that they currently have so that they can preserve our Gullah Geechee culture in the city of North Charleston as well?
Well, the thing about it is that what we noticed is that it started to become a hustle. And it took away from the culture.
But it's still cultural.
We wanted to get away from the hustle. We wanted to still make it about the culture. So that because so many people, they love the young people and they love the culture of Charleston.
Right.
So we want, when we have the young men representing, we want them to represent the culture. We want the people to feel the culture, not just a hustle. That's why the mannerism.
So my question is, will y'all still also preserve the Gullah Geechee Palmetto rules skill and help enhance that skill within the children? Cause I know I heard both organizations talking about additional skills, but some of us may not feel that that's a career path, but that's a skill that these young men can go and create out of no funds, so they can go to nature and create these roses and create these baskets? Are y'all going to cultivate that skill, or is that not a part of your program? That's my
So
question.
in teaching, I'm sorry.
So y'all are y'all gonna
Yes,
continue to still teach
absolutely.
them how to do the palmetto roses?
Absolutely.
That was my question.
And teaching them that skill, we're just adding other things to it because we gotta make sure that they know how to hold on to their money and how to, you know, all that good stuff. But absolutely,
Okay,
they're gonna,
That's my
that's
question.
not gonna go away.
We're gonna be developing as far as that piece.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's not gonna go away.
okay, okay.
Yeah. Any more questions? Anybody?
Yo, go ahead, Councilman. Go ahead.
So, what's your budget for this program? Cause I heard a lot of stuff
Budget.
Budget,
mentioned. I heard
Okay.
a lot of stuff mentioned about what you wanna do. It seems to be
Right.
a lot going on.
okay,
So for this particular project, in terms of the Palmetto Rules, and like Councilwoman Brown said, preserving that artistry, because that's what we're about. All the other stuff that you guys already have going on is separate, you know, already in place, but for here, what's the budget for this particular project? And then
Yes.
how do you intend to incorporate all the other stuff you talked about into this project?
Okay, may I, we've already submitted the budget, the budget
We
proposals.
didn't get the budget.
And,
Okay.
yeah, and also,
Okay.
my board has made a decision that we are going to be doing an MOU with the department that's most affected by the Palmetto Roses children, and that is the police department, North Charleston Police Department. The budget, we submitted that, well, 3 months ago, if you will. And we're very meticulous when it comes to the budget. Charleston County School District has helped us work through a lot of private industry. That's why we already have the 100 uniforms. That's why we can offer what we offer, because a lot of the private industry believe in the Community Resource Center and the concept that we have. Now, looking at it specifically, you would see exactly where every dime in that budget that we've already submitted is going. And typically speaking, when we do a budget, we don't do a whole lot of money in the administrative part of it. And we welcome the scrutiny. Do you not have the budget?
No.
Okay, but yeah, they have the budget, I'm sorry.
The SB, the Small Business Enterprise, they'll forward it.
Okay,
Okay, yeah.
they're being full.
Any other questions?
I said
I
that
have a
first.
question. I just wanna make sure I understand, and I know that, I think both path, formal education and real world experience is important. I just wanna make sure, are you encouraging students to go to college, or are you saying that it's not
That's
necessary?
an excellent question, and that's a question that should be on the table. Back when I went to school, about 100 years ago, everyone was told that to go to college, I went to University of Maine, and when I came here, I was a instructor over at Trident Tech. Then I became a director at the at the Postal Center in Lodgson. So I'm beginning to find out, that's why we're focused on the technical parts. IE has taken over a lot of jobs, y'all. IE has almost replacing us thinking.
AI.
Y'all.
AI. Artificial intelligence.
Thank you. But that's an excellent question. We're going to teach vocational skills as well as the people that's academically and want to go into higher academics. We're going to be working with that. We're going to get the GED program, which we have instituted now for 2 years. We'll have that. Bottom line is we are deeply committed to the process of empowering our young children. I am sick and tired of always, every 6 months or so, one of our children is affected by the Palmetto Rose issue. Let's move forward. and let's make it happen, very
And
professional.
we don't have an issue with college. If we
Oh.
see that, that lane to where we got access to that aspect. So we're not like, we're shutting down college.
Oh,
No,
no,
ma'am.
no,
You know, 'cause
Not
I
at
think,
all.
yeah, I think they both offer real world
Absolutely.
experiences, you know,
Absolutely.
and I don't see a 4-year degree separate from real world
No,
experience, you
ma'am,
know.
no, ma'am, not at all.
Because I'm an educator and I'm a
Yes,
case
ma'am.
manager with Charleston County School District.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I'm big on education,
Oh, yes,
but I
ma'am.
also think that, you know, we should bridge the gap.
We need it all.
For people who want to have a trade,
Yes,
should
ma'am.
have a trade, but people who want to go to college should be encouraged.
I actually teach that. I tell parents that I know I talk to a lot, cause they say their kids want to go to college. I say, well, listen, come into the barbering program, get that out the way. That way, when your child goes to college, they're able to still make income and the pressure is not on the parent so much, if that makes sense. So I encourage that a lot. I did that with a few guys in the community.
Thank you
So
for
yes,
doing
ma'am.
that.
Thank you, Councilman,
Overall.
Councilman,
I was gonna ask him, was it a yes or no? But I think they answered it.
Oh, yeah, well, I just wanted to, you know, give flowers, cause Mr. Lewis actually spoke to me about the program and, he actually offered it to my children. So I'm just, I wanna say that this organization impresses me every time I get to be with them face to face or around them face to face, just based on the organization and different options that they have inside the Community Resource Center for the local community. And, you know, but just only thing I wanna make sure is that if we gonna work with the kids, you know, cause a lot of people are adamant about their skill in regards to doing these, the palmetto roses. I constantly interact with the children who do the palmetto roses, cause a lot of them lie within my district. So I kinda know them on a personal basis and get to know them and talk to them and support them. But they're very talented by their hands, so I can see how this would go into a technical, like it would be good for them to learn more about technical vocational studies, but I also still wanna just ensure that they're gonna be able to still keep that skill. That's my.
If I may add something to that,
Sir.
we'll be looking at the whole picture of that child, okay?
Yes, sir.
We'll be offering, uh, food, we'll be offering to the whole family.
And I agree, cause a lot of those children who are working are helping and taking care of themselves in a sense and some of their own basic needs, so that you guys say that y'all would provide toiletries, that would be a great help to the children in the community, cause a lot of them are out there just to buy clothing, shoes, toiletries and things for themselves, so I get it.
my high school yearbook, Von Lewis North Charleston High School, 84. This is all the city superlatives. I was not voted most likely to succeed.
Alright.
Mm-hmm.
I got kicked out of Head Start, kicked out of kindergarten, and I got kicked out of high school,
Here.
and ISS, everything. So when you see me, when you look at me, and I don't take that for granted, there are people will be just like me that need a second chance, a third and fourth chance. So I'm asking you guys, whomever gets this contract, that you don't throw them away. You don't throw them away. Try to find a way to get them sharper, get their minds focused on who they can aspire to be. And if you can't do that, send them to me, cause I'll tell them the truth. I'll tell them the truth, okay? So thank you all for coming out here today.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, we have, yes,
Question, what's the contract value? I can get that.
say again.
What's the value of the contract?
Oh, the small business enterprise will send everything to dispatch, to Courtney, and she sent up. Yeah. All right, we have, the ordinance amending section 7-7 and 7-8, and adding section 7-9 of the zoning regulations of the city of North Charleston to clarify zoning map and zoning text amendment requirements, as well as establish the planning and zoning department fee schedule. Yeah, Eileen? Have any questions? Eileen is here.
I'll be brief. If you have any questions, I'm here.
Any questions? Thank you, Eileen. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Alright, carry. Okay, we have the UDO update. Tim McCall.
Good evening, just wanted to give you a quick update. In March, staff continued to meet with the consultants and to discuss land use issues occurring within the city, to identify sites for testing potential new zoning code requirements and how to address those issues, and to develop an engagement strategy. We are still working on that engagement strategy to start moving out and to get into the communities, start engaging with the neighbors and other groups within the city to identify the character of the city as well. We don't have the official dates yet for kickoff, but the intent is to move forward in the first week of June. We have to still coordinate with the consultants to get time for them to come down and be here for that kickoff. We're working on the website for the project. That should go live soon. As I said, the consultants are still working on assessing properties for character and identifying the zoning issues and trends, and they're going to be testing some of the proposed regulations to give us an idea as to how those will work. Outside of that, it looks like we got a little bit of progress, but once we get started, it'll start rolling quick. Are there any questions that I can answer for any of you right now?
When it comes to the community engagement piece, are you going to reach out like district by district, or is it just gonna be like a more of a city hall meeting, who wants to attend can attend, or?
We're gonna try to do all of the above.
Okay.
You know, as I said, we have a website that we're working on. We intend to do some surveys. We intend to reach out to the neighborhood presidents, incorporate full neighborhoods as much as we can. We kind of look at the city in a couple different regions, and we will try to canvass, north, central, south, and be out in the community and give them the opportunity to meet them where they are, and not just ask them to come to us. That's the intent, is we don't want to just, say, hey, come here, we've got this, you wanna hear what we have? No, we wanna go to them and see what they have identified.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Have we given any more thought to coming up with what our ultimate goal is and what we're really trying to do with the UDO and what our vision is for the city, and if we haven't, what is gonna be the mechanism to get to that?
And that is being worked on now. I mean, the vision is to remove and replace the existing zoning with a new best practices document that will guide better development within the city. So it's a technical document.
And the reason I'm asking, $1.5 million is a lot of money,
It is.
right? And if it's just to rewrite the current zoning, right? I think we could get a lot more bang for our buck, and if we don't have a goal of what we're trying to do and what we want the city to look like, then I don't really get why we're spending the $1.5 million. That's my opinion.
A lot of that goes to the engagement program that we will be conducting. It takes a lot of man hours and time to go out to the communities and do the level of engagement that is planned as part of this. It is not a small project based on the size of this city. And we have to identify character, there are so many different types of characters with characteristics for different regions within the city. The south end of the city is different than the north end of the city, as we all know, and it changes as we go down those corridors. We have opportunities along Rivers Avenue that are going to, with the LCRT, change as that comes online. and we have to be prepared for that growth that's coming.
I'll give you an example, right? So the medians that they've got in Mount Pleasant, right? They've got beautiful trees, they've got, you know, all of it, I mean, it looks fantastic.
Yes.
We put medians down ash phosphate and put a black metal fence down the middle of the road. Right? So, you know, I think part of the goal needs to be, it needs to include aesthetics and what we want, whether it's the southern end, the northern end, the middle, it doesn't matter. What are we trying to make our city look like? And I think the UDO is a perfect opportunity to put that into our ordinances to make it look that way.
That's the intent. You
And
know,
I think that needs to
for
be stated, that's all I'm saying.
the last 50 years, we haven't had design guidelines that have dictated what things should look like. One of the goals is to incorporate that into our design guidelines.
And I'm not trying to give you a hard time,
No.
but I mean, I just think that it's important. You know, but I just think it's important that we really have a defined vision of what we're trying to do with it. Because otherwise, we're just gonna get a recycled version of what we already got, and we've spent the $1.5 million. That's all I'm trying to.
I agree. I agree 100%, and that's part of what we're doing internally here as well. And we are developing an advisory group that will help guide that will include, you know, professionals as well as people from the communities. So it's not, it's not gonna be top down. You know, we're going to try to bring that together and create a vision that will work, define characteristics that we want to embrace, reuse, and raise the floor for what things look like as we move forward into the future.
How much of that 1.5 million is going to the consultant company?
Well, that's the entire.
Oh, that's their, okay,
Yes,
that's their price for us,
And let
for
me
the project in general.
state that that's the most that can be spent.
Okay.
Okay, so it should not exceed $1.5 million. As of right now, the state, you know, their stated budget was like $1.1 million. There are contingencies in case additional engagement is identified as something that needs to be done. They also said that it could be possible to bring in somebody who could look at the financial aspect of how that development could affect certain areas. You know, is it feasible to impose these types of restrictions or requirements, and what that means for, you know, the outcomes. So it won't necessarily get guaranteed 100% to 1.5 million.
How much have we paid them already? Cause I know they already did a small review.
They submitted an invoice and we have not paid that yet.
But that would be within that $1.5 million budget.
Yes, so when we do a contract like that, we do a purchase order
Right.
that encumbers that money and it comes out of that.
So what they already done prior, remember so what they already did for us was that, that's already done.
They just submitted their first one,
So who was the company that came and spoke to us
Code
about?
Studio.
So are they the same company that we're going,
They will be coming back. Yeah,
Okay.
they're not in state, but they have local contractors, subcontractors who are working for them to do a lot of the stuff, the boots on the ground engagement,
Oh, so they're not.
provide also, well, we're gonna be involved too.
Okay.
But they'll be providing us with that support. You know, they have preservation, architecture, engineering, all of those things that are built into our development codes and ordinances. And they have local experts who have an idea as to what actually happens here. You know, because if they're out of town, sometimes they don't have that, but they're code experts and they know how to write the code and then they can tailor that to our needs specifically.
One thing that Councilman Skipper was talking about, especially for us who were new, before we came on, especially the first set after 2023, 24, you guys created an overlay district on Rivers Avenue, looking at the new LCRT. So every building now that's built in a corridor must be built up to the roadway. And I thought that was a great idea that you all did that. And if you look at it, for a good example, there's an apartment complex in the southern part of the city, right across from the old Jamaican Grill. they're building the apartment complex right on Rivers, and they actually build a garage in the back of it. Because the whole mindset is that when you travel through our city, you can jump off and go to a store or go whatever you need to go and get right back on instead of walking through these long, deep parking lots. And so I think that, and also another thing too that's real valuable for the UDO is that I refuse to allow any type of store to come into the city of North Charleston, whereas they go over to another city called the east side of our city. And if you look at the Burger King and the McDonald's over there, it doesn't look like the Burger King McDonald's over here. So I refuse to allow us to accept whatever they want to. We've got a company with the big C that's coming to North Charleston. And we told them months and months ago that if you aren't making it either better than Mount Pleasant or West Ashley, then we're not going to work with you. And that's what they did. That's what it is. So that's another thing about the UDO, actually making sure that these businesses respect our city as we respect it.
Well, I'm familiar with the overlay district, trust me. And signage is a big problem with the existing businesses. When they wanna upgrade signage, you know, they were able to do things differently prior, but now it's more regulations on signage and how they can expand in the forefront of the city, especially within District 6. So I understand. I'm personally not, I don't favor the UDO, but I know how to go ahead and, you know, accept things, but I just wish the best for us in this situation, that's all I'm saying.
Thank you, Councilman.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And I just wanna say that I agree with Councilman Skipper, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, for saying what you said. I think $1.5 million is a lot of money to pay to get much of the same. So and saying that, when will the advisory committee be formed?
We've identified the group, we're getting that coordinated now to get that kicked off, so.
And will it be a diverse committee?
Yes. Yes, there's diversity.
What would the committee look like, North Charleston?
That's the
Yeah.
intent, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Everything here look like North Charleston.
I just wanna make sure the committee looks like
Yes.
North Charleston.
Yeah,
Will a council member be on that committee?
Mr. Hudson and Dr. Palmer Roberts are on the advisory committee.
Look. Anything else for Tim? Anything else for Tim?
No, I'm good.
Okay, you wanna work them out a little more?
I'm good.
You sure you wanna work on them a little more?
Thank you.
Good job, Tim. Okay, we have Mayor Assistant Dave Tito. He's gonna be up to talk about the shopping cart regulations in the city of North Charleston.
So good evening, everybody. Wanted to talk to you about the abandoned shopping carts, problem that we're having. Just to give credit where it's due, about 2 months ago, Councilwoman Jerome came to me and said, Cheadle, we've gotta do something about these abandoned shopping carts that are all over our city. And if you look around, they're on our sidewalks, they're in our creeks, they're at our bus stops. It's really an eyesore, just both for the residents that live here and for our community that visits here. So really need to do something about it. So we started doing some research. And in 1991, 80 Jordan, I talked to him today, he actually established a shopping cart ordinance. It got repealed in 2001 where it was no longer effective. And then in the early 2000s, our police department created a goal to where we had our community service officers go and pick up shopping carts and then bring them back to the businesses. And then in 2023, Courtney sent me some information to where it looked like the executive staff and our legal department was talking about maybe doing it, but then that fizzled away as well. So on all three of those situations, the idea was to go after the shopping cart, to actually say, you know, if someone's pushing a shopping cart, it's a $500 fine, and that's gonna take care of our problem. Well, some of the material that Rhonda sent me from other cities, and there's no one else is doing this in South Carolina, nobody. So this is brand new for us in South Carolina. We'll be the first ones to do it if y'all approve it. But more or less what other cities have done is they've held the businesses accountable. And so instead of going after the person that's pushing the cart, which it's hard to prove whether, cause you know, you have a possession of stolen property. And then you have everything under $2,000 is petty larceny. Unless someone catches someone pushing a cart out of a parking lot and the owner calls us and says, I wanna prosecute against that person, then we've got a charge, and that'd be petty larceny, cause it's under $2,000. But to prove somebody has a possession of stolen property, you have to have intent. That's right. And for someone just to go at a bus stop and see a cart laying there and say, you know what, I've got some groceries and I'm gonna push it down the street a little bit further and then leave it, you can't charge somebody for that. So the idea here, and what other departments have done, is they've gone after the businesses, not gone after them, but held them accountable more or less. So I'm just gonna go through this real quick. Getting old, so I need some glasses. How this is gonna work, we'll do the proposed steps. So the community service officers, again, they're out in their community, they all have trucks. They're working for us, they're out and about. They're the perfect candidate to go out if they see a shopping cart. They've all got trucks, they can put them in their truck and then they can take them somewhere. So the proposed next step would be they would take them to Public Works. I've talked to Michelle Lloyd, she's all for it. We would fence in a little area and then we would take our carts to that area. So more or less, we would pick them up off the street or a creek or wherever they are and then take them to that facility at Public Works and store them. At that point, Melissa Pate, who's the Deputy Director of Public Works, she'll oversee the record keeping and logistics of it, and she'll actually notify the businesses when we have their carts. Now, there's gonna be some carts that don't have any markings on them. If that's the case, then they'll go straight to the scrap yard when we make a run with Public Works. But the ones that have markings on them, like Walmart or Costco or, Target, something like that, then you can obviously call the store owner and Melissa will get to know who these owners are of the carts. And then she'll let them know, hey, we've got your cart here. In order for those people to get, those folks, the businesses to get their cart back, they're gonna have to pay a fee of $50 to get their cart back. So if we have 10 carts from Walmart, more or less that would be what would it be? 5 times $250 to get their carts back. So that's kind of the idea on how this would work. I'll give you some examples. There's other places. There's a place in Colorado, they charge $100 a day. I found one that charged only, I think it was like $40. That was the cheapest one I found. So I think we're being pretty consistent and fair about only charging $50 for a cart. Talked to Brandon Lilienthal today. He contacted a couple scrap yards. Even if the person doesn't come in 30 days, the business owner, after they're notified, and we'll have records of all this, once they're notified and they don't come and pick up their cart, after 30 days, we take it to the scrap yard. The average at the scrap yard is between $30 and $50 for the cars. So we'll also get paid there. But here's the best part. So what we're gonna do, I've already contacted Rob Jarrett in Finance. He says this can be done. We will start a homeless account. And so all of the money that goes towards these or that we get from both the businesses and from the scrap yards, and it's all gonna be online, so there won't be any cash, this is all online. All that money will go into a homeless account, and then when we have like homeless shelters that need things, or we have people that are displaced that we need to find placement, then that money, Brandon can use that through, there will be oversight on that, but then he'll be able to use that money to actually help out with the homeless. And so we really like it. Some of the businesses, I'm not sure how they're gonna respond to this, but it's about holding them accountable. And there's a lot of new technology out there. There's GPS that they can put on the carts to where once they go past a certain point, it stops the cart. There's other technology like, I don't know if you've seen the quarters where you put a quarter in the cart and then when you return it, you get your quarter back. And there's educational. I don't know how much educational process there is with these businesses on how they're educating their folks. Hey, you can't take that cart. You know, they have to have somebody outside that will see someone walking with a cart and say, hey, that's our cart, you can't take it. So again, this is we just wanted to get this in front of you. And then if once I kind of get a feeling from y'all, whether you want to move forward with it, then I'll create a policy. Then y'all will look at the policy again and then we'll start the process going through council. But I just wanted to kind of give you just a brief overview of what we're thinking about. We think we've got a pretty good plan here, and then pretty much it. So if there's any questions, I'll take those, and then if not, then I'll look forward to hearing from you. Go ahead. Oh, sorry.
Councilman,
Two questions. One is, what if the business doesn't wanna take the cart back? Will they still be asked to pay the fee for storage? Or are we just gonna recycle them and just?
No, if it's $50, that's the fine. So more or less, if somebody doesn't come, whether they pick up their cart or whether they don't pick up their cart, it's a $50 fine. If they elect, but it's a good question though, you're right. If they don't elect to come get it, let's say they say, you know what? I've got 10 carts there, but I'm gonna let it go, then we're not gonna put a fine on them. We're just gonna take them to the scrapyard and get our money back there. But what's gonna happen is, eventually what happens is these businesses start realizing, I'm losing all this money on these carts. These carts are like $300 and $400 a piece. So this $50 fine is nothing for them. So if they wanna do that, they can keep purchasing new carts, but eventually someone in management's gonna say, whoa, where's all our carts? And then it'll come back to where they'll start helping us.
That's my question.
And my question was similar to Councilman Indy's. Do we plan to enforce the intent of the ordinance? And I guess you said no. As far as like the intent is to make certain that they implement preventive measures so individuals won't take the carts from the store. Do we plan to enforce that? And I guess your answer is no.
Yeah, we're just gonna more or less charge them for the carts, and then that's what's gonna drive them to do that. There are ordinances, I've read some ordinances in other cities that strictly go to say, they put like measures on the business to say, you have to do this, you have to lock all your carts up, you have to do all these, 5 or 6 different things. And then they have their code enforcement division monitor it. But it's so hard to enforce that that's why they haven't been successful. And that's why this new idea of doing it this way is it's innovative, and it's really putting the pressure back on the businesses to do the right thing.
It seems simple, there's no real friction points. If somebody wants to lose 500 shopping carts, it's gonna feed into the business, the fund for the homeless, and there's no more ordinance issues. I think it's a great idea.
He answered my question. My question was, how much on average does a new cart cost? Because, if it was cheaper, then, if I'm the business, I don't care. But if that's, that's a pretty significant difference in price, so that's all I do.
The reason I asked Dave to look into this, on any given day between Northside Drive and Northwest Boulevard, there's 150 shopping carts on any given day, and I will tell you, the majority of them are Walmart. And it just,
Pushing across the bridge.
the state won't clean up the trash, they sure aren't gonna pick up the buggies. But we're trying to beautify our city. And we have wonderful hotels in that area, with the exception of 1 or 2. And it's important that we don't have all these buggies just hanging around on the streets. So I love this idea. I think you did an excellent job.
So I have a couple of things. One, I completely agree with what everybody else has said. So Charleston Farms is a big issue. There's 11 shopping carts in there today, right now. I've spoke with a couple of places, and they, like businesses, and they are asking for us to do this because they said, I would gladly pay you $50 rather than buying a $300 cart. So this is gonna be wildly successful. The question I have about enforcement is, what is our jurisdiction to pick them up? So like you were saying, there's a bunch of them and they're on another business's property, or like what's our legal ability to collect these? Like if it's just by the side of the road, obviously we can just grab it.
Right away.
But if it's sitting in a parking lot of another business, is that us? Is that them? What's the?
Yeah, it gets tricky, and we're gonna have to do some coaching, we're gonna have to do some education on this. What I've seen in all of the ordinances, I always thought it was just gonna be public property. I thought, this is only gonna be carts on public property. But every ordinance I've seen, it's public and private property.
So they can call us and say,
So
hey,
that
come
absolutely
pick up these
can.
damn carts, and we'll.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
that's great. I love
and
that.
again, like, let's use Walmart for example. Let's say there's a business right next to Walmart. We would not go and take carts that are in the next door neighbor's parking lot, next to the Walmart, if they're joined together. This is for the ones that are out on the streets, out on, they're just abandoned that people used and then they dropped them and left them. Those are the carts that we're going after,
Yeah,
so.
but I think like the Sable, the Panda Express right there across from the Walmart, their parking lots are full. So they could call us,
Absolutely.
we would come and pick them up, we're not gonna be
Absolutely.
behind and roll them back to Walmart. We're
Correct.
gonna take them to our place and we're gonna charge Walmart $400.
And we learned back in the 2000s when we had our CSOs doing it before, we thought, oh, that was gonna solve our problem. They'd pick them up, they'd bring them back to the business, and the business was like, hey, great, thanks for bringing my cart back. But then that was it. They never did anything to help us. So
We tried the, try for the stick.
We need to do as well, living in all the parts of the city, southern, central, and the north. If you look at the northern stores, most of the northern stores, they have those locking devices.
Walmart.
Well, Walmart up there at Paula probably does. Dorchester, I know Harris Teeter does.
Yeah,
I know
Harris
Public
Teeter
does. I know Aldi does. I know all those folks up there have them now. Now, I'm gonna
Aldi's
say
got the
this,
coin, yeah.
I think that we need to probably even look into something, having a conversation with them about purchasing boxes for all our stores.
I think Darvis did it one time,
Shut it down.
the businesses.
Oh. Alrighty then.
It's a new day.
That's my question, would it would help also because, I mean, when we talk to the folks in the southern part of the city, that's one of the things that we've always talked about, is when you had Winn-Dixie down there, the biggest problem was a mother coming from Rising Village or coming from Iron Dog or coming from Score Cherokee, is that when they got to Winn-Dixie, they weren't able to get as much groceries because they didn't have a cart. Because all the carts are going out, and I know how to break a cart down to get the tire off to make a go-kart, I mean, I'll tell you that. But that's the issue, the issue is with these cars are going home. Or going to places where these folks are residing, and
Some of them are.
well, yeah, some of them, and the kids play with them, cause I mean, you could have locked me up back then too, but I didn't, but I just think we need to, I like that, but also look into other avenues that we can actually work with the stores to get them to actually manage their golf carts a whole lot, I mean, their carts a whole lot better, shopping carts. Yes, sir.
Like you was talking about, I didn't know that was a GPS, I knew it was a magnetic strip or something, but I know downtown, all the grocery stores have the strip method, so I don't know if that's within ordinance. Like if you go past a certain boundary around the store property, you can't push it no more, it don't work, so could that be something that we can have mandatory with the different, is that something we can make mandatory
Yeah.
in the area just to cut it down?
I haven't seen a ton of ordinances where it says, where they require the business to do these things because it's so costly, so it's one of those where.
Like they gotta meet the intent of something.
Yeah, that, I haven't seen a whole lot of that, I'm not saying that you could, but I think this is more of a thing where it does encourage them to use preventative measures, to say, you know what, we're tired of paying $200 every 3 days, or we're tired of our carts disappearing and we're losing all our carts. Eventually they say, you know what, let's figure this out and do something so we don't lose our carts. Okay. And so that's kind of what this pushes them to do. That makes sense.
Like Councilwoman Jerome said, we have to stand up to clean our city. We can't expect other cities to think about how our city looks. We have to look at it ourselves. And these things are aesthetically displeasing to see it like that. So we have to make a stand.
It's every day.
Yeah.
It's not just once a week, it's like every day. It's crazy.
Anything else with
Good job.
Thank you though.
Thanks, y'all.
Okay, good. Okay, with Chris, we actually our legal attorney.
So before I start, I wanna make sure everyone, I got admonished last week for not speaking to a particular council person, and so I wanted y'all to all be on notice that I am saying good evening, Mr. Brown.
You're
Good. Okay, so about 2 months ago now, we had an appointment for you all for one of our municipal court judges. And I think it was tabled to come back to community because there were some questions. And I know that I talked to several of y'all individually, and I wanted to talk to you all collectively to at least let you all know what those questions were and kind of give you some understanding or answers collectively. And then we can move forward from there. I didn't have handouts. What was?
Let's just do it.
All right, I just wanna make sure we all on the same page. So, first
Why
I wanna
not?
talk about is how judges are actually appointed. I think that was the first question, and so it's very similar to how the federal government appoints Supreme Court justices or federal court justices. What happens is the president nominates someone, and then the legislature will confirm. You guys are hearing nominations or recommendations from the mayor. I think oftentimes we don't like the form of government that we have, and we kind of struggle with that at times. But the nominations come from Mayor Burgess or whoever's in that seat, and you all can vote up or down on those. And I think one of the first questions that came about was how, if you had someone who could you recommend, or if you wanted to recommend someone, how that works. You talk to the mayor and you tell him your recommendation. If y'all can reach an agreement, everything's lovely, it'll come here. I think the other question was whether or not you all can vet, and that, I won't go back through that whole argument or email that we had, but clearly the answer is yes. Y'all need to be able to be comfortable with who's in front of you. You need to know who they are, why they're there, what their background is, what training they have, so that you're comfortable. You're not trying to find out what their position or voting record should be, but you wanna be confident that they're competent, that they're aware of what they're doing, and they're able to make decisions in a neutral manner. That's the best interest of our city. And so that's the first thing. Second thing was about regulations, and you wanted to know what those regulations were. And the state code kind of lists some things. Our ordinance kind of copies what that state code says. And so 2 to 4 year terms, you can have a 2-year term, you can have a 4-year term, that's usually the case. They have to complete training and some type of certification program by the South Carolina Supreme Court. So they don't just walk in after the approval of you all and sit on the bench. They have to have that training in order to do that. And then every 8 years, they have to be recertified. They go back through a training to make sure they are aware of the latest, they are able to conduct themselves in a way that's pleasing. What's also interesting here is, keep in mind, those reappointments come back to you all. So if during that time period y'all have questions, hopefully you don't wait till the day of, you let us know in advance, so that we can address them. But what's important about the judges that I think I wanna make sure we're all clear on is that once they're appointed, we have no control over them. They are, although paid by us, they are governed by the South Carolina Supreme Court. They are part of the judiciary. We don't advise them, admonish them, order them to act in a certain way. If we're doing that, we may have some ethical issues, we may have some violations, and I'm sure we don't want those. One other thing that it said is that judges can practice law, they just can't practice in the court that they are a member of. So if they're a North Charleston judge, they can't practice here in North Charleston inside of our municipal court. They can do county stuff, obviously they can do state stuff, they can do federal stuff. It just can't be in this particular courtroom. The next question was about longevity, and I think some of you were saying that we needed to have a fresh person or fresh people or fresh ideas. And I will tell you that seems to be counter to what the state and the federal government says. Obviously, you can appoint new people every 2 years. The rule says that the term is 2 years. If you wanna put somebody else there, you can. But think about the federal system. In the federal system, once you're appointed, whether you're on the Supreme Court, the district court or the Court of Appeals, you are appointed for life. And unless you do something wrong, that is your slot. Even on the state court, the term's like 6 years, I believe. Thank you. We have an expert. 6 years and then reappointment. But the idea would be, you would be there for a while. And so I think the biggest benefit to having someone on the bench for a length of time is that they're able to tell you a full picture of the city. They know how cases were decided 6 years ago. They know how cases were decided 6 years in advance. Like that ideology is there, and it gives a more predictive, I guess, understanding for the people in front of them, whether it be the citizens as well as our staff. And so I think there's a benefit to that. Obviously, I always tell you I don't get a vote on things, but when we're looking at that, I hope you would consider the fact that as a whole, we as a city come out better. We don't have to do as much training when this new guy comes on. We don't have to make sure that they're getting familiar with our court system there, or the clerks there, or the people that are coming before them, the code enforcement, the officers as well. There is some benefit to longevity, so we had that conversation. The next thing that kind of came up was whether or not they should be lawyers. And so in South Carolina, municipal court judges don't have to be. That has been an issue or bone of contention across the state. I will say that we as a city decided in 2011, 2013 to make that a requirement. And the idea was there is some benefit to having lawyers in that role. I will tell you that when I say there is a split, I'm thinking of the magistrate level. Obviously, magistrates aren't required to be lawyers. And the legislature split, as I do my research, seems to be the difference between rural counties and the more urban ones. And the idea that it's harder for our rural counties to find lawyers that will be able to serve in those positions. And so that's why it's difficult to do an one size fit all setup for the state of South Carolina, because what works here in North Charleston may not work in Malden, where I'm from. So we still make sure we're balancing things out, and so that's the idea there. I will say that the Chief Justice has been clear that he thinks we should be lawyers in that role, and he has a push for that. But obviously, it is not a requirement other than our ordinance says so. And so if the idea is y'all want to change that you can. The last thing was someone was saying that they weren't aware of what the current setup is in our courtroom. And so I will tell you that we have 2 full-time judges and 2 part-time judges. They preside over our court down there almost every day. Something's going on. They handle obviously the bond hearings. They handle preliminary hearings for Dorchester County. They handle the warrants. When the officers need warrants to be signed, they will sign them when they're here. The officers will go to their homes and get the signature there. They handle weekend bond court. Every day, we gotta make sure we have bonds, be able to set bonds for people who are arrested. They handle bench trials, and despite what some may say, they actually handle jury trials too. And then they handle what are called returns for appeal. So like if someone is sentenced in our court downstairs, they're upset about the sentence or they want to challenge it, that judge has to draft something so that the circuit court judge can look at it and make a decision about the outcome. And so that's just an overview of what their role is and what they do. I will say that Judge Revelise, I think many of y'all may know him, has been here a long time. He's still on the bench in Hanahan as a municipal court judge there. But what's unique about his view is he points out that we have a very efficient court. His job here is to make sure that the cases are before the judges in a timely manner, that the prosecutors have the cases and that things go forward. He's able to tell me that based on the number of judges we have and the cases that we have, we're probably one of the most efficient in the state. I think he compared us to Columbia. They have twice as many and don't move as many cases as we do. And so I pride myself on saying that as a part of that particular department, we are efficient and we are effective. That's all I have question-wise, but I wanted to make sure that if I miss something, y'all have an opportunity. I know this is just for discussion, so no vote tonight. The appointment that we had before y'all, if the mayor's comfortable, we'll be back next week. If y'all want to talk about the individual appointment, we can do that in executive session. I think that's more of a personnel matter, and we can have that conversation. We can do that now. We can do it next week. But I wanted to know if there were any like procedural questions, any overview issues that you all have, or anything that I've left out that y'all want to talk about.
I think you did, okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think you did a wonderful job in the presentation. I'm one of those people that talk with you. I'm a retired judge from the bench from Charleston County, and I don't have a law degree. My PhD is in psychology. My master's is Education and Counselor with a concentration in mental health. My bachelor's is in psychology, and I have an associate in business. But I served on the bench in the state of South Carolina in Charleston County and retired from the bench. And you serve at the pleasure of the Senate. And I think the role of a judge is not only to interpret the law. I was responsible for sitting on bond court. I was responsible for pretrials, just like any other judge. And we had a criminal and civil. And I realized that in the municipal court, which is considered a criminal court, where you just you're answering citations and looking at warrants. And I think an ordinary, extraordinary citizen can do that. I think lawyers should be practicing law. And I think that we should simply broaden our pool. To be a judge, you don't have to be a lawyer. You just simply need to have a deep understanding of the situation that's in front of you. And I think that the community, you need to be close to the community. Many non-lawyers bring years of real world experience, integrity, a balanced perspective that reflects the people that we serve every day. Our municipal court are often the point of contact between citizens and the justice system. And it's important that the bench reflects, lived knowledge. So when non-lawyers are properly trained, they can demonstrate impartiality, commitment, and justice in decision-making. And I think that, we need to look at broadening the pool. I'm not saying that lawyers can't be considered, but I think that non-lawyers should be considered as well. This approach will not lower the standards, it will broaden them. And it will allow us to consider individuals who may not hold a law degree, but possess wisdom, they will possess character and dedication to uphold the law. The municipal court and the magistrate's court is the people's court. And I think, moving forward would promote a diverse perspective and strengthen public trust. And this will ensure that our courts truly represent the community.
I think my concern with that appointment was not the person being a good judge. I think it was just the process of just kind of not knowing who that individual was.
Okay.
I think Councilwoman Gannon Paisley mentioned, just her being a magistrate judge. I think that process is submitting or doing an IQ test in the Senate, knowing that. Submitting a confidential financial form in the Senate, being able to see that. Submitting resumes and looking at if that individual has any grievances against them when they're considering nominating them so the governor can appoint them. I think just some kind of process where we can see who we're appointing before we appoint them.
And I will tell you, Councilman, one of the reasons why I think we've not had that issue is that the majority of the judges that we have had and have were part of the system before they got there, so we knew them. We have the 4 judges now. Out of that 4, all 3 of the 4 worked in this building as prosecutors. And so I think the former council didn't need that additional information. If the idea is we are expanding beyond, we may need to. I will tell you from a financial standpoint, being one of the member of the bar, that is a requirement. If we have those ethical issues or we have those things, they pop up. If we are going to expand the pool, as the council lady says, then we may need to create some additional hurdles or requirements to make sure that we are able to vet. But we've not had that problem in the past because they've been part of our system before, and we kind of knew their background. We knew more about them than I think we'd find out from other methods.
Right, cause I didn't see nothing about them online, I'm a private detective. And I couldn't find, but I found out it was who this specific judge was, but I agree with Dr. Paisley and also Councilman Greg Perry that it just needs to be a little bit more transparency in regards to all parts, because this person's well qualified and done their job on the bench for years, but we just weren't aware of exactly who they were and what their relationship was, and it's a fairly new council still, so.
And I will tell you, Council Lady, one of the reasons why I'll take the blame for that, I did not provide a lot because we kind of get into this routine and we move things in a certain way. And I know that a lot of you all are new, and that's why I was glad we were able to at least take this pause, get some information, and so that, one, y'all are aware of the process, but two, be individual. Because although y'all didn't, this group appointed her, but some of the newer ones, obviously y'all, unless you're in her courtroom, you wouldn't know who she is.
But it's not currently written that you should, the list that we were asking about, that you have to do that. Like, it's not written that you have to do that.
Do what?
Like, as far as like, give us information about certain things, or ask for a resume or recommendation letter.
Well, yes and no. It is ingrained in the process, because if I want an appointment to be approved, I gotta provide the information that y'all want.
Okay.
And so there is no list in the ordinance, but clearly if y'all say, this is what I need when you send a new person to me,
Yeah.
I'll make sure you have it.
And counsel, let me go on record and say, I don't have a problem with Attorney Vaughn or Judge Vaughn. This is not about her.
Correct, and we're not
This is
discussing
about-
her
this
tonight,
is
we're
about
discussing the
process.
process.
This
Yes,
is
ma'am.
about the process.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to make sure that you all have this, because last time you didn't. And I see your point, especially you, Greg, you talked about being prepared. Preparation is a big thing.
Yeah.
And I'm with you on that, but just like our attorney said, this is a reappointment, and most of the times, folks have already been here and working from the bottom to the top. And once they got there, we knew that with the body of work that they actually performed before, and we want to continue. Now, there have been some, I think, in their administration, that they're like, nah, it's time to go. They was, so that would give you an opportunity, okay, okay, it said exit then, exit is better, okay, exit is better. But there will come the time whenever a reappointment comes up, that we'll make sure we'll give you all the information before and prior, to like, yes, ma'am.
Real quick, the one thing I wanna say is please remember what Chris said. The Chief Justice would like for all judges to be attorneys. Just because Charleston County doesn't do it, doesn't mean that we're not Charleston County, we're the city. And before we decided, back in 2011, I think it was, for our judges to be attorneys, we did a lot of vetting to make that process happen. And I see no reason to change it now.
And let me say that I respectfully disagree. I think that, across the state of South Carolina, many municipal courts have non-lawyers sitting there. And again, it is the people's court, and I think that the people need to be connected to the community. The Chief Justice is an attorney, so I can respect the fact that he might feel that way. When I served on the bench, I was chosen by the Supreme Court to train judges on the bench who were attorneys, and some of them were not attorneys. I just think that we need to broaden the pool, so that we would have different candidates to come before us that would be able to serve the citizens in the city of North Charleston. Because there should not be a limit. There's no requirement for someone to have a degree to serve on city council. You don't have to be a lawyer to serve city council, and we are lawmakers and make decisions about the whole city of North Charleston. There's not a requirement to be a lawyer to be the mayor. But I think that we need to just simply broaden our pool when we're dealing with the citizens in the city of North Charleston across the board.
Any other questions? Any other statements?
Okay, so that ends that conversation for now. There's one other issue that I wanted to talk with y'all. And so I would ask for a motion to go in executive session to discuss an issue with a HUD contract. And I wanna make sure y'all are aware of that before we make any moves.
Make a motion, we go into executive.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All right.
48, we're back in executive session, no votes were taken or.
Okay, any other business? Is there none, executive session, this meeting is adjourned.
Alright, this time we'll call the Finance Committee meeting to order for April 16th, 2026. The first item on the agenda is the minutes from the March.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, same sign. Item number 2, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute a memorandum of understanding between the City of North Charleston, Stadium Residential LLC, and Ashton Charleston Residential LLC regarding a retention pond on city-owned properties TMS 486-1400043 and 045 in Council District 3.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Yes, sir.
So I was reading through, and so we own the retention pond now. Is there any incentive for us to give the retention pond back to this developer and make it their problem? Is that something that's viable, or are we using it, or I guess?
So it is used for the community, and it would be viable for the city as far as whether that's beneficial for the developer. They have the right to utilize it for drainage already, so them having ownership.
Okay, but we don't have any legal way to just be like, no, well, you're gonna significantly alter it, give it back.
I mean, I don't know, I mean, that could be
I
something.
mean, I just don't wanna own a retention pond that we have, it's not a benefit to anybody except an HOA.
Well, it does serve more than just the developer.
Okay, it does, okay, it
Serves
does.
other areas, okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 3, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement of purchase and sale of mitigation credits with Point Farm MB LLC for saltwater marsh mitigation credits required for the District 5 sidewalk and drainage improvements project.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 4, a resolution certifying property located at 2018 Reynolds Avenue, TMS 46908-00144, North Charleston in Charleston County, South Carolina, as an abandoned building site pursuant to the South Carolina Abandoned Buildings Revitalization Act.
Move for approval. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 5, request to approve change order number 5 for NC 0924.
Move for approval. Second.
A motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 6, request to approve the appointment of Accommodations Tax Advisory Committee for 2026-2027.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, any discussion? Yes, sir.
So I was talking to Frank about this, and is this the time that we maybe need to talk about putting some sort of like ethics rules or conflict of interest rules in with this committee? Cause he was saying that we don't have any kind of like guidelines about who's appointed and how they,
We don't have bylaws or guidelines.
no bylaws or guidelines, so is that something maybe we should have them, task them with in the next year, or?
We're doing research on what other
Okay.
communities do.
Is that something you guys can bring to us? We don't have to like tell you to do it, you can just.
No, I am working on it to
Do
make
it.
sure that we're.
Great. I just wanted to make sure if we needed to do something to help you, so if the answer is no, great, thanks.
Well, once I get the research done and we come up with what other communities are doing, we'll put that together and Chris will help me about it.
Thanks.
But there are regulations as far as what,
The state, we do follow all the state guidelines.
correct,
Yeah.
cause you gotta have so many from this part of the hospitality, so many from this, so we're following those guidelines, so basically what you're wanting is more specific guidelines just for North Charleston's committee?
Correct.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
I just wanna ask, is this a yearly and annual appointments every year?
It's it's an annual appointment. There's no sunset on these either. And that may be something we wanna look at in the future as well, but we don't have any right now. The
Any,
state doesn't require it.
any other questions?
No, I'm good. Sure, yeah, 'cause
I will definitely recognize you, sir. Do you have something that you would like? Alright, we motion and a second. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 7, request to approve accommodations tax funding request for 2026.
Move for approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Not a question, I'm sorry. Just, and I spoke to Mr. Frank already, and I said this before, just in the future, if we could just get some additional information prior to, so we don't have, much like, what we talked about before, just have some information, so we'll be more able to make more informed decisions and not have to bother you with a whole lot of questions.
Absolutely.
Cause I talked to Darvis as well, maybe mention the ones that got funding the prior year and what the economic impact was from the money that they received.
Sure,
that
I don't know if I can quantify what
The
we gave
general
them and how
idea.
that increases, but we
Yeah.
could certainly have that conversation with them.
Maybe jobs, maybe jobs.
Well, they're tied to events mostly, so it's not like
Sorry,
they're,
sorry.
it's not like they're generating,
Economic impact.
Yeah, 'cause you're talking, and if I'm wrong, Frank, help me out, you're talking about the biggest event that we basically generate economic impacts would be
the bridge run.
Bridge run.
Yep.
Now, I may not want to give the bridge run because it's Mount Pleasant, but we get a lot from that.
Yeah.
It's common sense.
They rent the Coliseum
It's
complex.
common sense now, you know, so it's some of that stuff that we do, it may not be really a part of us 100%, but we are making a lot of money and we're getting a lot of economic impacts from it.
Right.
So when you evaluate it, you have to open your mind.
Exactly.
That's all you have to do. And this is going to my 3rd year, you know, so I'm still opening my mind, but I can see it from what it is. That's what I'm saying, you gotta think about those things. If I look at it, I'm like, Mount Pleasant, no, man, hold up, but I have to realize. I mean, I like Mount Pleasant, but this is my home.
I think the one I was looking at was the barbecue.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah.
It's the one that happens in Park Circle, it's a big event that they do over there, yeah. And that was particularly blessed by our cultural arts folks, they really thought it was a great event for us.
Thanks, Frank.
Excuse me, I have to excuse myself, it's getting a little late, I gotta go home with my children. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing nothing, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Item number 8, issuance of limited obligation bonds to refund the existing 2017 A bonds resulting in a positive economic gain.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any?
Rob standing there waiting.
Well, and this is just discussion.
Yeah, this is just a discussion.
Yes, sir.
Rob will give you a quick and dirty.
So we're not actually voting, so we're not voting.
No vote on this.
Alright, Rob, you have a 90 second.
I can do it. So with bonds, I can talk as quick or I can go into as much detail. In short, think of this as basically like refinancing a house. Interest rates have come down a little bit. We've got this issue that was issued in 2017. A portion of that has a little bit higher interest rate. Our financial advisor came to us and said, hey, we have the opportunity to basically issue new bonds, pay those off. And if you turn, there is a little presentation right in front of you. And if you look at the very back page of it, it basically has a little outline showing the estimated savings. So ultimately, most of the savings is gonna come in the back end, but it's gonna save us around $50,000 a year in interest over the next 11 years. And then at the end of it, it's gonna save us around $300,000 a year for 3 years in a row. So overall, it's about $1.6 million in debt service that it will save us. In today's dollars, that's worth just over $1 million. I will say this number will change a little bit. Interest rates will change between now and the time this was printed. That number could end up being a little bit more, it could end up being a little bit less, but there's really no downside to do it. And mainly, we just wanted to make sure that before we got everybody involved, that you guys were on board, for us to kind of move forward with it. And then the decisions on it will actually be made during 2 ordinances that get read twice during May. So it'll be somewhere around the end of July.
Does it restart the length of the bond? I mean, it's not really, obviously, it's good for us, but does it restart the length of the bond?
Most likely they'll structure it to match the remaining time period on the existing bonds. The existing one, I think, is set to be done in 2042. And so, well, actually, this one is 2041, because this is just a portion of that series. So they will most likely just structure it to where
it mirrors what the existing one is, it's just at a lower interest rate.
Thanks, Rob, appreciate
Any other questions?
And
Thank you,
no
sir.
vote, if everybody can just, I think Chris said I can do this off of a nod. If everybody's good, then we'll move forward with it.
Thank you, sir. We look forward to your insight tomorrow morning, so we're looking forward to that.
I'll get all my extra speaking in.
There we go. Is there anything else to come before the Board of Finance Committee? Hearing nothing, this meeting is adjourned.
See if we can get them out of here fast.